Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This week, I'm thrilled to chat with Grammy Award-nominated pianist, vocalist, and songwriter Billy Stritch. Billy's one of the premier singer and pianists on the New York and national jazz and cabaret scene. He began his career in Houston, Texas, but a chance meeting with Liza Minnelli in 1991 resulted in her asking him to create vocal arrangements for her record-breaking extravaganza, Stepping Out at Radio City. After his 25-year collaboration as accompanist and opening act for Liza, Billy recently toured with the legendary Tony Bennett as Tony's pianist and musical director. Billy's arranged music for many top performers, and during COVID-19, created his own weekly Facebook livestream show, Billy's Place, which celebrated the Great American Songbook, with songs and stories from his varied career. His duet album, The Sunday Set, with Jim Caruso, is out January 21st, and Billy has an upcoming 5-show engagement, Billy Stritch's Big Birdland Birthday Bash, Thursday, February 10th through Saturday the 12th. We talk about his amazing career, what performing means to him, and so much more. It's a great interview, and I hope you enjoy. Hi, Billy. This is Les Weiler from the TV Dudes.
Hey, Les. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
So I was excited to get to talk to you, both because of your birthday bash coming up. I have gotten to finally go to a live show for the first time in like 2 years in the last few months.
Wow.
And it was a really wild return to that kind of experience. And so I just love that folks are getting to do things. Birdland's making it work now. And so I wanted to talk to you about that coming up, but also just so many things about the level at which I feel like you professionally sing is interesting to me beyond a singer in a rock group or something else. I feel like there's really something to the kind of jazz singing that you do. Can you talk a little bit about how you got into singing in Sugarland, how you came into finding this style of music? Was this something that a first vocal coach said, hey, you could lean into this kind of singing, or was it something that you loved as a listener and went, I think my voice could do that?
You know, it's just something. I really love this kind of music from the first time I heard it, and I remember, I think probably the first time I heard songs from what we call the Great American Songbook was probably on TV variety shows like the Carol Burnett Show, or they would always do little musicals, lots of medleys with musical guests. And interesting enough, Sonny and Cher, because Cher would always sing a great old torch song at some point. She would sing Am I Blue or More Than You Know or something like that. And it was before I even realized that they were old songs or they were from that era. But, then it was explained to me that these songs were all really from the 30s and 40s. My grandmother was also really instrumental in taking me to see musicals, concerts, buying me records from those artists. She bought me I'm looking at it right now, it's a 7-record set of Nat King Cole, and she gave it to me when I was like 10 years old. And I just loved it. I love the sound of it. I really resonated with the melodies, the harmonies, the orchestra, all of that. And, the singing kind of came later. I mean, I always sang in church, but I didn't really start singing this kind of music until I did my first piano bar gig. And actually that was pretty early. I was 15. I started playing at a piano bar at a country club near where I grew up. And I realized that if I could learn these old songs for these people, it was mostly women who were coming in off the golf course, and they were sitting at the piano bar and they would request these old songs, and I would learn them and I would get tips if I learned them. And then I started singing, just kind of felt natural to me. But I didn't it was the piano first. It was learning songs by ear on the piano, which was really my way in. The singing came in my teens and in my 20s. That's when I really started to sing all the time and sing in nightclubs. But I just always loved the music. It was just, I think when you're a youngster, you hear something, and it was just something I wanted to explore. I loved Gershwin. I loved Cole Porter. I loved all that. I still do. It's kind of music that has always resonated for me. So that's kind of how it started.
As you learned more about singing and practiced more of the technique side of it, did you find certain things that were kind of in a category of this style of music, and then things to this is, I may not know as a listener what I'm hearing or not hearing that puts things in one bucket or another, but did you start to discover that, oh, I should lean more into this type of phrasing if I'm doing this, or away from this?
I guess so. I mean, that's such an interesting, specific question. And I think as I was learning to sing, I wasn't even thinking about it in those specific terms. But certainly listening to, Nat Cole and Frank Sinatra and I love Barbra Streisand. I love Barry Manilow. I mean, these were the people I were listening to growing up. And yeah, I'm sure there was a certain part of me that wanted to imitate that. I learned how I could kind of instinctively pick up how they phrased, how they breathed, how they could carry through a phrase. I mean, I really kind of learned it just from listening and just from instinct. When I was in my 20s, I had a vocal group, so it was me and two girls. And the way I arranged the things, I was singing. We were doing everything kind of in three parts, but as one. So I really had to be very much more conscious of the range of the voice and the phrasing and how we could all breathe at the same time. And then in my late 20s, I actually sought out a voice teacher because I was finding that I really wanted to increase my range. I didn't have enough stamina and the notes that I wanted to have up in the top part of my range. And so then I started learning technique, and then it all kind of came together for me. But in terms of the phrasing and the jazz part of it, it was just things that I picked up by listening to great singers. Honestly, and it just like I said at the beginning, I wasn't thinking in those specific terms, but you just kind of figure out where to breathe and where to phrase, and then you figure out what key is going to work for you. Oh, this is too high. Let me take it down. Luckily, I play piano by ear, and by the time I was really starting to sing, I was able to change the key. I was able to say, to just figure all that out on my own. So, it all came from the ear. It all just all kind of naturally unfolded for me, honestly.
Whenever a lot of art forms, I feel like, get to this level, but whenever I'm hearing someone who can, I feel like, just really killing it on singing, or painting or dancing or anything, there's an unawareness. If you hesitated and paid attention to what you were doing in the moment, it wouldn't sound naturally. You can't stop in the middle of that lasso trick and the rope still work. But
You're
at the same time,
right.
there's got to be an enormous amount of technique going on for you to
I mean,
put it out of your mind. Do you ever find yourself, I would think particularly when you're working with someone like playing piano for Liza, or working with someone else where you've got to be watching him back and forth, that extra jump of another person, I would think would make that particularly tightrope act, and it's part of what I find wondrous about watching duets. Can you talk a little bit about learning to work with a partner like that? Do you click with certain people more than others? Is it just a natural thing?
Yeah, of course I click with certain people more than others. I mean, I love accompanying good singers. because I think it's one of the things that I think I do particularly well because I'm a singer myself. So I know how to stay out of the way. I know where they're going to breathe, and I'm watching them all the time. My eyes don't really ever go far away from the singer when I'm playing for them because, the body gives you clues, the raising of the shoulders, the way, I can see how they're breathing. So, the fact that I've been a singer for so long, I know what they're doing. So it's just interesting. It's just taking years of practice and years of doing it to make it seem like there's no effort to it. I mean, like with anything great. People always say, oh, my God, you don't ever look at the keys when you're singing. Well, I've been playing so long that I can feel where it is. And part of what I like to do is when I'm, I sit at the piano and I accompany myself, but I like to really look at the audience and play to the audience. I'm not one of these people that look down at the piano. I mean, to me, it should be very open and presentational, and not introspective. I'm not particularly moved when I see a performer who seems isolated or they seem like they're in a bubble. To me, it's about showbiz and it's about communicating to an audience and singing to them, and trying to make a one-on-one connection. So honestly, it's just where I am after so many years of playing and singing. All these things are very second nature to me. And what you said, you can't start to think about it in the middle of doing it because then that connection is broken. The spell is kind of broken. When I'm singing and I'm playing and I all of a sudden catch myself thinking about what I'm playing, sure enough, that's when I'm going to hit a wrong note or hit the wrong chord or have a little bobble. So, it's very much like it's really hard to explain, but when it's all together and I'm putting it out there, it's like I don't think about any of the technical aspects of it. It just flows, and it's a great. When you get to that place, there's nothing like it because it's just me and the audience, and me and the lyric, and me and the story I'm trying to tell, and there's nothing getting in the way of it. And that to me is like the ultimate, And yes, I love accompanying. I mean, that's something I love to do. I love collaborating and being on stage with someone who's good, and we have a connection, and we have a humor, we have a shorthand. I mean, I just got through doing shows with a wonderful jazz singer here in New York. Her name is Gabrielle Scrivelli, and we just did shows down in Florida, and it's the show we did was Mel Torme and Ella Fitzgerald, because I do a lot of Mel stuff, and she is certain she does everything. But it seemed like a great mix of songs for us to do. But my point is, when we're singing together, and I'm looking at her and she's looking at me, I mean, all I have to do is just nod my head in a certain direction. It's like, you take it, and then it's such subtle clues. And when you have that kind of shorthand with somebody, it's just a wonderful connection, and it's just great. It just transcends having to think about it. It doesn't even feel like work at that point. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Yeah. No, it's like being in a dance frame with someone. You're both part of one thing.
You're just in a zone. It's just a great zone to be in. And
when you were talking, I was thinking about the ease of the banter that you and Jim Caruso have on the Sunday set, which will be coming out this Friday, I believe. And that the chatter a little bit before some of the songs, I'm thinking of the Sinatra medley, I think has a little bit of banter or a little bit of talking before it. And you could just feel I know if I remember right, that's a live recording, but you feel in the room. I mean, it feels so intimate, and you can feel that I don't know, there's a camaraderie to it immediately, and it to me, one of the remarkable things is I feel like this is a type of music that is easy to it's old enough and classic enough and has been made reference to enough times that it's easy to accidentally do a joke of it or a pastiche of it.
Yeah.
to lean too far in, I guess. Uh,
Right.
and I do you ever find that in rehearsal where you think, all right, Bill, pull it back a hair, or do you
Yeah.
find your connection to the music kind of keeps it on the level for you?
Well, I mean, I feel like my level of respect for the music and my taste level always kind of keeps me in check. I mean, I really never make fun of it. I mean, to me, that's, I mean, the songs are so good, that, they deserve to be done with respect. Now, that doesn't mean you can't arrange them in a totally different style, because if a song is good enough, it'll withstand doing it. You can do it as a ballad, or you can do it as a bossa nova, or you can take a thing that's in 2/4 and do it as a jazz waltz. I mean, some of these songs you can do so many different things to them.
Yeah.
But I always try to maintain a certain level of taste. And as far as the patter goes, I've watched so many cabaret shows over the course of my career. And, sometimes you'll see a show and the patter feels so stilted and scripted, and to me, what I try to do is just be totally natural. I know what I want to say. I know the point I want to make, but I don't rehearse it. I don't rehearse it and try to make it word perfect, because I want it to feel like you're in my living room and I'm just like telling a friend about what excites me about a song. And then in the case of Jim and I, we have been friends for 40 years, and we have so many of the same experiences. We've done so many gigs together, so many little inside jokes. I know what he's going to say before he says it, and he would say the same thing about me. So that makes it really easy. I think that makes our patter and our talk between songs very open and funny and organic. And, there's nothing forced about any of that. And that's just what I respond to when I watch a performer. I like it to be easy, conversational. I like to feel like I know the performer, and I don't want to feel like it's a lecture in any way. Sometimes I may talk about the song and who wrote it and what it was from, but after you don't want it to become dry. You don't want it to become like it's a lecture. I can read a book to find all that stuff. So I try to keep it light. That's the point. People sometimes lose sight. I mean, what I do, I feel like, is entertaining. People want to be entertained. They don't want to have to think too hard. They don't want to have to, get bombarded with facts. It's just let's do the music. That's it.
Well, and to the other side of that coin, there's a tendency sometimes to go too reverent on older music and older art forms, and forget that they should be alive and that this should be a fun night out and not a college lecture about Gershwin.
Exactly.
When you sat down to be a writer yourself, and we're starting to pen songs, did you feel that you needed to stick to certain structures, or make sure that you didn't, all right, we're not going to write a 50s pop song, we're going to write a more American songbook type song, or was there kind of work or prep that you did?
Well, I mean, I think I tend to think in terms of more traditional. I'm so rooted in the Great American Songbook and those song forms. I like a verse, chorus. I like a bridge in a song. There's certain forms that I really like, and I think that's kind of where my mind goes when I'm sitting down to write. I mean, certainly, years ago I was trying to do a lot of country music, because I had a song called Does He Love You that I wrote with a songwriter named Sandy Knox. Now, it was written for my cabaret act at the time. It was me and two girls. So the song is a duet between two women. One's the wife, one's the mistress. And so it was written to be performed live. It was very theatrical. But through an interesting and very lucky chain of events, it got into the hands of Reba McEntire, and Reba recorded it with a singer named Linda Davis. It became a hit song. So during those years, I was spending a lot of time in Nashville trying to write in that style, because, it's kind of a formula. I mean, not that that's a bad thing, but, you kind of want to stay within a certain construct and confines. Certainly when I sit down to write, my mind just tends to go in the direction of like pop music, be it, it doesn't even matter really what time it's from, but you know what I mean? It's kind of hard to explain, but definitely I try to stay within a form. Verse, chorus, or the AABA form. Well, that's kind of a really old style form, but verse, chorus, bridge. I love the bridge. I love a bridge that takes you somewhere else and then brings you back. These are tried and true things, and they still really work for me anyway.
I feel like there's maybe a heavier, catchier reliance on a bigger melody. I feel like back in the day, I can hum older songs. I feel like easier. Whereas I'm maybe focusing more on cadence on some modern music sometimes, and I find that sometimes part of the charm. I really can't express enough how much I love your voice. My God, you can sing.
Thank you.
And part of what's remarkable about you're singing to me, and sorry to be so gushing here, but is
I don't mind it.
The casual ease with which I know you're doing something quite hard.
Right.
And that to me is the remarkable trick that I pay to see, and I think it's really the neat thing. Thank you so much for talking to me about it today. I really appreciate it.
Well, just before I leave you, I really do want to give credit to. I had a wonderful voice teacher that I studied with for about 5 years. This is about 25 years ago, but I learned so much. And it really made my singing so much easier. I don't have to think about it like I used to. When you learn the proper placement and the proper breathing, it just is so freeing. So, I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that, but I did have some help, that's for sure. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
Folks can go listen to the Sunday set by the time this interview's out. And then if you're in the New York area, I go catch Wish You a Happy Birthday and see you play.
Thank you.
In February 10th through 12th. Yes. Yeah.
February 10th through 12th at the Birdland Theater. Yeah, please come.
And I'll have
Big birthday.
I'll have a link in the description as well. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. Take care. Bye bye.
TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.